Hello, this is Jamie Magrich. Welcome to Jamie's Craft Table. Today I'm going to show you how I made this card. I'm going to use Flirty Flamingo, Memento Tuxedo Black ink. Got a few blends, Flirty Flamingo. I've got light Granny Apple Green, light Old Olive, dark Daffodil Delight, Color Lifter, and light Balmy Blue. And the rest of it. I have a scrap of white, stamp the sentiment on. I have a 1/8 inch strip. It's just a little tiny strip. I think it's 5.5 inches long. At least 5 1/4. Yeah, 5.5. And that's Flirty Flamingo. I have a 1/2 inch by 5.5 inch piece of white. A 3 5/8 by 5 1/4 inch piece of white. 5.5 by 8.5. Scored and folded at 4 1/4 of thick. I'm going to be using the Ornate Floral 3D embossing folder. Hello Friend is what the flowers are from. And then the sentiment, Love You So Much, is from Flowering Tulips. I'm using this die here from Tasteful Labels, and then this pretty little edge here, this one, is from Peony, the Peony dies. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to take this 3 5/8 by 5 1/4 inch piece of white and this Tasteful label die. I'm going to center it up on the front of here, and I'm going to run that through my die cut machine. Okay, I need both pieces. This piece I'm going to stamp my flowers on. This piece I'm now going to take the Ornate Floral 3D embossing folder, and I'm going to insert that in there, and I'm going to go run that through my machine. Okay, then I have that. Okay, so those are those two pieces. Then this little strip, this 1/2 inch strip, I'm going to take this die, I'm going to center it up on there. I want to leave as much width as possible so I can glue it. I'm going to tape it in place and run that through my die cut machine. And I'm going to end up with this. Okay, let's put these aside. Now, let's come into stamp. I'm going to bring in a scratch paper. It's previously used, but that's alright. I'm going to come in with the flower. And ink that up well in the memento. I'm going to stamp that once, right in the center of that label. And I'm going to take this leaf, and I'm going to stamp it here. And then stamping it off the page a little bit. I need a couple on this other side. I guess it doesn't matter. Okay. And then with the Flirty Flamingo. I'm going to stamp the sentiment onto this little scratch paper. Perfect. Okay. Set that aside for a minute. Let's bring this back in. We're going to color it. The first thing I'm going to do is color the center of the flowers with the dark Daffodil Delight. Okay. And I'm going to come in with the dark Flirty Flamingo. I'm going to just kind of flick where these lines are and where the petals are going to overlap. Don't be afraid to turn it, so if you can't flick towards you, go ahead and do both. Okay, then I'm going to come in with the light Flirty Flamingo. And I'm going to color over those, and I'm going to leave a little bit of white at the tips. Not on every one. I'm not doing a really super fancy coloring. I'm just coloring over what I already put in there and then blending out a little bit. Now this petal here, I filled in pretty much the whole thing. The rest of them I left a little bit of white at the tips. Oops, excuse me. Okay. Then if I see any places where I want a little bit more of the dark, I'm going to come back in with that dark. Just in a couple spots. Okay. Now I'm going to come in with the greens and the light old olive first. And I'm going to do down at the bottom of the petal of the leaves, a little bit down the center. I'm going to take the light granny apple green. I'm going to go a little bit over the top of that, and then up a little farther. Again, I'm leaving some white space. And I'm coming in with that Daffodil Delight. And I'm going to add a little bit of Daffodil Delight in the ends. Oops. And I'm going to come back in with the granny apple. And I'm going to blend the, oops, wrong end. blend those out. So you probably could do the yellow and the old olive, and then just do the granny apple over both of them. But this is how I did it, so that's why I'm showing you. Okay, then I'm going to take the light balmy blue, and I'm going to go all the way around the edge. In these little spaces here. Okay, then I'm going to come in with the color lifter, and I'm going to go a little bit on top of that, but extend it out a little bit past it. And this I'm not going to do the whole thing, I'm just going to do some of it. And then I'm going to come in with the blue again, and I'm going to go a little bit over where the color lifter is, and it's going to let it blend out. Okay. If you want to go back in with a little more color lifter. Okay, there's one more section here to do. And then go back over it. And the reason this is working is because this is wetting the paper, and it's a clear ink, so when you put the colored ink over it, it moves it. It shades it out. You could go as far as you want. Go back over it again to feather those edges a little more. There you go, that's the coloring part. Then I came in with my Wink of Stella. I just did some center, and I just did a little bit on the flowers. Okay. Let's see if you can see the coloring I did there. Okay. Now we can assemble this card. I'm going to bring this piece in. Glue. I'm going to bring this piece that we die cut. I'm going to put just a tiny bit of glue along this one edge. I like the wet glue because it gives me a chance to wiggle it into place. I'm going to pick an edge, it doesn't really matter. And I want to center this up here. I want the distance to be the same from the scallops to the edge. I'm going to come in with my snips. Go against the edge. snip sides here. Okay, then I'm going to take that little tiny skinny piece of Flirty Flamingo. Just put a little bit of glue on the back of it. Just little dots like that, or just a little tiny thin line. Like I'm not squeezing the glue, I'm just kind of running it all across. And I'm going to cover up that seam there. Again, I'm going to come in and snip those ends off. Find it easier to do from the back side. Okay, let's flip this over and put some dimensionals on it. Come on. Couldn't get my fingers to get them out. Alright, let's take those backs off. I'm going to try this again. I always try it. I figure one of these days I'll get better at it, but it doesn't come easy for me. That one doesn't have one. One more. Alright, let's bring in our card base. And I'm going to center it at the top and the two sides. If it has a little bit more at the bottom, that's fine. Whoops, don't stick yet, you're not straight. Ah! Well, not exactly where I wanted it, but it's close enough. Then I'm going to take this piece and I'll put glue on the back of it. I'm going to set it down in that space that it came out of. Now for this piece, I'm going to come in with my snips and I'm going to cut around the edge. I'm just going to follow the line of the stamp. There's no right or wrong. If you just want to cut out a shape instead, you know, a circle or a rectangle or something, that's fine. Oh, I went straight there. This, I just rounded that edge just a hair. Okay, and then I'm going to put dimensionals on the back of it. Make sure it doesn't show. That's going to go right here, or you could put it over here, wherever you choose. I'll go ahead and stick it there. And then I have a little bow tied with the crinkled seam binding. Let's bring in the glue dots. going to go right here. And let's find the rhinestones. Okay, the holiday rhinestones. And I'm going to use the yellow ones. And I put 2 up here. And 1 over here. Where do I want it? Alright, well there's our card. There's the one we just made together. And here's the one I did previously. Well, thank you so much for joining me today at Jamie's Craft Table. I hope you have a great rest of your day. And I hope you can find a little bit of time to play with some stamps, ink, and paper.